Honorable Union Minister Smriti Irani. I think all of us know her in different roles.
You don't have to read that, Bharat. Let's
So-
have a chat without the iPad.
Okay, I think that's going to be a difficult one. So,
And Bharat, let me tell you, ladies and a smattering of gentlemen, is looking at his wife, not looking at anybody else right now, which is a sign that he's very nervous. Yes, Bharat.
No.
So on behalf of all the ladies, what is about to happen to Bharat is what happens to all men.
So now I understand why
When
it's
they
Har
have fire
Zindagi.
by their side. Yes.
It's a women entrepreneurs platform. So yeah, I'm the one who's getting drilled. So thank you.
I don't think Jagran had imagined this. Yes.
Yeah. Great. So, Smriti, let me jump like this, that India as a country is changing. And in last 4 years, we have seen a great penetration which has happened through internet. And today we are close to about 600 million internet users, which is about 55% of the population penetration. With this penetration comes or medium comes a great democratization of information which is happening, and the way people are discovering, consuming, or exchanging information has changed. How do you see the role of technology in enablement and empowerment of India as a country? Is my first question.
I think Bharat, आपके प्रश्न में बहुत सारे लेयर्स हैं. आपने कहा कम्युनिकेशन बढ़ा है. फिर भी आज क्यों परिवारों में लगता है कि कोई किसी से बात नहीं करता. आपने कहा इंफॉर्मेशन बढ़ा है. फिर भी आपको क्यों फैक्ट चेक चलाना पड़ता है. और मुझे लगता है कि इट्स 800 मिलियन इंटरनेट यूजर्स नाउ. If we do not address these issues now, then we look forward to a time filled with challenges that the world sees currently. हमारी अगर सबसे बड़ी कोई स्ट्रेंथ है, वो ये कि हम चाहे कितना भी आसमान छू लें, we always stay rooted. और ये एक quintessential Indian quality है. इसका मैं आपको एक juxtaposed version बता सकती हूँ. हमारे देश के बारे में आज से 3 साल पहले अगर कोई ये कहता कि हम अपने देश में पैंडेमिक की अवस्था में अल्प समय में एक ऐसे वैक्सीन का निर्माण करेंगे जिसकी ज़रूरत हमको नहीं पूरी दुनिया को होगी, तो कोई नहीं मानता. अगर हम आज से 3 साल पहले कहते कि हम ना सिर्फ उस वैक्सीन की निर्मित करेंगे बल्कि 100 करोड़ से ज़्यादा लोगों को 200 करोड़ डोज दिलवा भी देंगे टेक्नोलॉजी के आधार पर, तो कोई विश्वास नहीं करता. अगर हम आज से 3 साल पहले कहते कि हम 800 मिलियन लोगों तक मुफ्त का राशन 3 साल सतत पहुंचाएंगे, तो कोई हमको विश्वास नहीं करता. अगर हम आज से 3 साल पहले लोगों से कहते कि हिंदुस्तान विश्व की फार्मेसी बन जाएगा, तो कोई हम पे विश्वास नहीं करता. अगर आज से 3 साल पहले हम किसी से कहते कि आपको पैरासीटामोल चाहिए तो 160 देशों में हिंदुस्तान वो पहुंचाएगा, तो लोग हिंदुस्तानी को देखकर हंसते. लेकिन हमने इस 3 साल की अवधि में, विशेष कोविड के वक्त, when borders had come to a close, we did it. लेकिन एक हिंदुस्तानी होने के नाते मुझे इस बात का संतोष है, we became the pharmacy of the world, but we were not arrogant about it. We sent vaccines, but we did not profit from the misery of people. कुछ देशों में तो टॉयलेट पेपर तक खत्म हो गया था, लेकिन हमारे देश में किसी ने किसी का साथ नहीं छोड़ा. हमारे देश में 6,22,000 गांव हैं. जब पैंडेमिक हुआ था तब लोगों ने कहा कि गांव का हिंदुस्तानी क्या करेगा, और सबसे ज्यादा संयम, सबसे ज्यादा उदारता अगर विश्व में किसी ने दिखाई तो हिंदुस्तान में गांव में बसने वाले उस हिंदुस्तानी ने दिखाई. और मैं इस उदारता की प्रत्यक्ष साक्षी रही हूं, सिर्फ पैंडेमिक के वक्त नहीं. मैंने 17 साल अपने जीवन के शहर में बिताए, यहाँ जन्मी. 20 साल से ज़्यादा मैंने मुंबई में बिताए, वहाँ पर मैंने काम किया। मुझे आज भी याद है 26/11 का वो नज़ारा, जब मैं दिल्ली में किसी चुनाव की रैली में थी, शाम को लौटी। मेरी सबसे बड़ी बेटी लियोपोल्ड में थी जहाँ पर अटैक हुआ, मेरी सास ससुर वो ताज में थे जहाँ अटैक हुआ। और मुझे याद है that the only way you can survive that trauma is on the basis of the kindness of others. And I'm proud that the others are fellow Indians.
Very well
So
said.
अगर आप इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी की दृष्टि से देखें क्या बदलाव आएगा, तो एक माँ होने के नाते मेरा प्रश्न आज भी यही है कि अगर कम्युनिकेशन बढ़ा है तो घर पर बातचीत कम क्यों हो गई? क्योंकि वही हमारी सबसे बड़ी ताकत है कि हमारे यहाँ जेनरेशनली कॉन्वर्सेशंस कुछ मुद्दों पर टफ थी, कुछ मुद्दों पर हम कहते थे कि माता पिता के सामने बोलती बंद हो जाती थी, लेकिन फिर भी परिवार में कोई ना कोई था बात करने को। आज कितने लोग हैं जो टेक्नोलॉजी को अपना बच्चा सुपुर्द कर देते हैं और फिर कहते हैं अरे बच्चा सुनता नहीं है। आज कितने लोग हैं जो आकर हिदायत देते हैं मीडिया को कि जी फलां फलां चीज देख के बच्चा बिगड़ गया है, लेकिन वो डिसिप्लिन इम्पोज नहीं करना चाहते क्योंकि अनपॉपुलर हो जाएंगे अपने ही बच्चों के सामने। आज कितने लोग हैं जो कहते हैं अरे सारा दिन कहाँ निकल गया पता ही नहीं चला, लेकिन अगर बोलो कि बैठ के इवैल्यूएट करो कि दिन कहाँ बीता, तो अगर आप श्रृंखलाबद्ध उसको लिखेंगे तो कहेंगे एक्चुअली ज्यादा कुछ किया नहीं। तो मुझे लगता है कि what technology has thrown up to us is opportunity, yes. Democratization not only of information but also of opportunity. Democratization of opinions. But what it brings to us is a responsibility to be more responsible. आज artificial intelligence की बहुत चर्चा होती है. Is artificial intelligence gendered enough? क्योंकि आप अगर आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस को एल्गोरिदम्स की दृष्टि से देखें तो क्या डेटा सेट फीड हुआ है, मतलब कॉम्प्लेक्सिटीज टेक्नोलॉजी की बहुत सारी हैं, चाहे वो कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी जेंडर के संदर्भ में हो, चाहे वो कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी फैमिली के संदर्भ में हो, चाहे वो कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी इंडिविजुअल के संदर्भ में हो। तो मुझे लगता है दिस इज द बेस्ट टाइम टू बी एन इंडियन इन इंडिया एंड टू बी एन इंडियन हु इज अ ग्लोबल सिटीजन।
So I think very, very well said, and I really like this line that it is the best time to be an Indian in India than a global citizen. Having said that, I think technology is a two-edged sword, and while, as you rightly pointed, that there is a great democratization which comes at a cost of responsibility, uh, how do you see the role of technology in enablement and empowerment? So, especially considering
we have
the
to
youth.
be cognizant of the fact that technology comes with no emotion.
Yes.
It is those who provide technology that come with that emotional quotient. So if we dissect that, I think we will be more accelerated in our desire to provide solution. So how humane is the outlook of those who leverage technology, deliver technology, or use technology? I think that should be the focus of conversations. For instance, you have something called Vishwas News or herzindagi.com. Each of them signify and have a social context. Now, how many of us who are a part, let's say, of that platform have ever evaluated or analyzed that social context? The women that you will today honor, were they waiting for a platform to recognize? No. They did what they did because they were passionate about a particular thing. What does your platform and this opportunity to honor them get? It gets them a place where their voice can become an inspiration for many. So, how is that weaving into your question? That you, as a person who leads that campaign, are compassionate enough to commercialize that prospect. Let's be honest. Till such time that compassion is not married to commerce, we will not have forums like this.
Very well said. So I think for us, our vision statement is to produce credible and factual content that empowers New India through knowledge, information, and point of view towards an inclusive and progressive society. For us, I think as a young Indian, we feel that what India really needs to be is more inclusive and progressive. The world is changing.
I
The
think that
technology is
even the
changing.
way we describe ourselves needs a little reflection. When you say India needs to be progressive, that means somewhere you are presuming that we are not. And when I sit, let's say, with my friends from the global West, how do I look at India? So let me give you a very small example. We had a legislation waiting passage for 4 decades. It was a medical termination of pregnancy at 24 weeks. Now, that legislation passed both houses of parliament without anybody opposing it. It was proposed by a male prime minister. And there's not a man in India who opposed that legislation. Try that in the United States of America. Try that in Europe. Try that in any part of the English-speaking world. They will not do it. Why? Because they believe that a woman's personal reproductive right is up for public debate. What I'm proud as an Indian is that Indian men believe that a woman's reproductive right is her right alone. Now tell me from that context, who's progressive? मुझे लगता है जब ऐसे मंचों पर बैठते हैं, इस प्रकार की डिस्क्रिप्शंस पर तवज्जो देने की जरूरत है. प्रोग्रेशन का दूसरा आपको मैं उदाहरण देती हूं, फिर कोविड से उसको जोड़ती हूं. कोविड में हमारे देश ने त्वरित रूप से सबसे पहले एक ऐप बना लिया जिसमें हिंदुस्तानियों ने अपने आप को रजिस्टर किया, हिंदुस्तानियों ने अपनी वैक्सीन लगवा ली, लेकिन वो ऐप हर हिंदुस्तानी ने इस्तेमाल किया. Those who are literate, those who are challenged academically, they all used it. And there were countries that were giving handwritten chits.
Correct.
Who's more progressive?
Us.
So I think it is time that Indians recognize that this is inherently us. It's not just a few people who are educated, let's say, in Ivy League schools or who've gone to St. Stephen's College or Xavier's College. No, this is every Indian who's done this. And if that is not progressive, what is?
Absolutely right,
हमें
Smriti ji.
सालों साल से कहा गया है कि तुम प्रोग्रेसिव तब बनोगे जब कोई गोरा आके तुमको तमगा देगा. अरे नहीं भैया,
हमने करके दिखा दिया.
ये हमने किया है, बहुत सारे गोरों को पीछे रखा है, लेकिन उनको पीछे रखने में हमने कोई चतुराई नहीं दिखाई या हमने कोई घमंड नहीं किया. आगे बढ़ने के बाद हमने उनसे भी कहा मदद चाहिए क्या, चलो संग लेकर चलते हैं. इंक्लूसिव सोसाइटी, इंक्लूसिव होता क्या है मुझे बताएं. आज भी हमारे समाज में, बहुत ही साधारण परिवार की दृष्टिकोण से कहती हूँ, आज भी हमारे समाज में अगर आप परिवारों के मध्य में बैठे हैं, क्या कोई भी बेटा या बेटी धड़ल्ले से कह सकता है मैं अपने माँ बाप को वृद्धाश्रम छोड़ने जा रहा हूं? बताओ यहाँ कोई है? So what is inclusive? Is it only gendered? Or are you bereft of ageism? आप इंक्लूजन की बात करते हैं. इंक्लूसिव का मतलब क्या कि अब पर्यावरण की दृष्टि से भी लोग कहते हैं वी आर एनवायरमेंटली सस्टेनेबल. अरे हम तो सालों साल से नदी को माँ कह रहे हैं. आपने तुलसी का पौधा दिया मुझे आज, उसका कॉनोटेशन अलग होगा, लेकिन अपने घर में उसको रखकर पूछते हैं. विश्व का एक देश बता दो, एक सभ्यता बता दो जो गाय को रोटी खिलाता हो, नदी को माँ कहता हो, पेड़ का पूजन करता हो. हमको आकर अब कोई सिखाएगा आपको इंक्लूसिव कैसे बनना है, सस्टेनेबल कैसे बनना है. These are the buzzwords. I mean, my biggest grudge as a mother was when my kid said, "मम्मा, Starbucks में टर्मरिक लाटे है." मैंने कहा किसी ने अगर उसको खरीदा तो सबसे पहले पेला जाएगा घर में, क्योंकि जब माँ हल्दी का दूध देती है तब नाक उठा के सिकुड़ के बैठे रहते हैं, और जब लाते आता है टर्मरिक वाला तो लाइन में खड़े हो जाते हैं, खबरदार. So I think that it's also about packaging, right? That there is a thought process. If you tick that box, apparently you're it. But boss, we were already it. You woke up. I mean, I get very hassled when somebody gives me this whole cardiovascular rhythm of breathing. मैंने कहा योगा देखा है क्या? So I also feel that with this advancement of technology, as Indians, this is our time to say, tell the world, been there, done that.
Yes, so that is true to a great degree. Super. But how do we look at when we talk about literacy in India and when we say inclusive, that the literacy increases to close to 100%?
What
when we
is
say
literacy? एजुकेशन, हाँ सॉरी यार इनकी क्लास हो रही है, लेकिन मुझे बताइए एकेडेमिया और लिटरेसी, एजुकेटेड, इसका मतलब क्या है? अगर आपके पास डिग्री है और अपनी बीवी को आप पीटते हैं तो आप एजुकेटेड नहीं हैं. अगर आप कॉलेज में पढ़ते हैं और राह चलती लड़की पर सीटी बजाते हैं तो आप एजुकेटेड नहीं हैं. अगर आप अपनी बीवी से कहते हैं या अपने परिवार में किसी औरत से कहते हैं कि जाओ सेक्स डिटर्मिनेशन टेस्ट कराओ तो आप एजुकेटेड नहीं हैं. डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस के केसेस शहरों में एजुकेटेड लॉट में गांव से ज़्यादा है. और मैं इस बात की साक्षी हूँ भरत, बीड नाम का एक ज़िला है महाराष्ट्र में, और मैंने एक दो मंचों पर कहा इसलिए आज यहाँ कह रही हूँ, डॉक्टर का वहाँ पे क्लिनिक था. और अगर आप इसको देखेंगे आपके पास न्यूज़ में आएगा, ये मैंने आज से 8 साल पहले देखा है. डॉक्टर का क्लिनिक था और वो डॉक्टर विख्यात था गर्भपात के लिए, बच्ची के गर्भ का, फीमेल फीटिसाइड के लिए जाना जाता था, लेकिन कभी पकड़ा नहीं जाता था. तो एक एक्टिविस्ट ने कहा इसको पकड़े कैसे, कोई एविडेंस नहीं है, पुलिस ने कहा. तो एक्टिविस्ट अपनी एक प्रेग्नेंट दोस्त के साथ डॉक्टर की क्लिनिक में गई और कहा कि भाई दिस इज अ फीमेल फीटिस, आप इसका इंतजाम कर दीजिए. डॉक्टर ने कहा कुछ 1000 रुपए रख दो, कर दूंगा. तो एक्टिविस्ट ने उससे पूछा, आई एम वेरी इंट्रीग्ड, आप ही आराम से करते हो, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता? उसने कहा नहीं. उसने कहा क्यों? कहते मेरे क्लिनिक में इंतजाम है डिस्पोजल का. तो उसी से अच्छा इसलिए आपके खिलाफ एविडेंस नहीं है. तो एक्टिविस्ट ने कहा मुझे डिस्पोजल क्या है, मेथोडोलॉजी दिखा देंगे? डॉक्टर ने बड़े गर्व से कहा आइए आइए दिखाता हूँ. टुक हर टू अ रूम. उस रूम में कुत्ता बंधा हुआ था. इसे जैसे ही फीटस निकालता हूँ, आई फीड द डॉग. दिस इज अ डॉक्टर, एजुकेटेड. So I think that while questions are posed and verbs and adjectives are used, what is education? What is literacy?
I think that's a sad example, and that is what we have to overcome as a country, as a society.
Don't blame the country. I'm sorry,
Society.
but seriously, no, don't blame the country. This response here shows you that guy who did this in Bede is not the country. That is another problem. That one person breaks the law, it becomes the country. My country is not like that. And that is another issue that needs to be said time and again. Every society comes with its challenges. Have you ever seen an American get up and say, no, this is America? सभी Americans ऐसे नहीं. So I'm sorry, but वो एक व्यक्ति, वो हर हिंदुस्तानी मर्द या हर हिंदुस्तानी डॉक्टर का प्रतिबिंब या एग्जाम्पल नहीं है.
आजकल G20 आ रहा है, India is
आ गया है.
आ गया है, and India is preparing very, very well. There's a set agenda. What do we expect for India as a country to drive out of G20? What are the top lines if you would like to share
I
and
think that there
inspire?
are 2-3 issues one needs to highlight. When some of the most advanced economies, and I'm not saying societies, when some of the most advanced economies come to your country, they see your inherent potential, which can be leveraged for future economics, which can also be leveraged to reposition economic interests and economic collaborations. So if you ask anybody who comes as a participant, they've come with a mindset about India. What is that mindset? That, oh, every Indian woman needs to be rescued. I was at a program yesterday where I had some American participants telling me, what can we do for India? मैंने भैया हमको रेस्क्यू की जरूरत नहीं है, तुमको है. हमारे यहाँ पे राष्ट्रपति महिला है, तुम चुन के दिखाओ. So I think that this is a great opportunity to showcase to the world the Indian ability to provide solutions frugally with a global impact of the pandemic. People are now looking for solutions which are sustainable, long-term, which are technologically very enhanced, which are nuanced from a gender diversity point of view. And India has given those solutions. For instance, our Mars mission was 10 times cheaper than the American Mars mission. But the beauty of it is that it was led by a woman. And the deputies were both women. So I think these are the examples that we can position. For the first time in G20, the agenda of women is not on the sidelines. The Prime Minister has made the female agency the main agenda of G20. It's never happened before. So that is our gift to the women of the world, that we have a head of state who's saying, don't keep women at the sidelines of the G20, make them the main agenda. And that is why I've said, any smart economist knows that if you have women at the center of the economic agenda, you benefit society at large, because we have now substantially proved that when women's purchasing power is enhanced, they spend more on health and education for their families. They tend to save more. And if you want to enhance your capacity of GDP, you need to have more and more women at work. You need to have more and more women who have the capacity to save more, because that has a positive impact on your GDP. So I think that my boss, who happens to be the Prime Minister of India, did the smartest thing in 2014, where he stood at the ramparts of the Red Fort and he said, my main agenda is women-led development. This whole issue, and एक बहुत विख्यात पॉलिटिशियन ने एम्पावरमेंट बहुत बोला था 2014 से पहले, उनका मैं नाम नहीं लूंगी. लेकिन कि महिला इंतजार कर रही है जी, उसको रेस्क्यू करो. That's a different communication as compared to अगर तुम डेवलपमेंट का इंतजार कर रहे हो तो महिला का नेतृत्व उसमें सुनिश्चित करो. So I think the Prime Minister has transitioned the conversation in the country from women's emancipation, empowerment, to tell society at large, if you want to be empowered, make sure women are equal partners. And I think that is what also is now on the main table of G20. I'm in no ways, Bharat, saying problems won't happen. I'm no way, in any way establishing challenges are downsized because of this proclamation of mine. But we have to be pragmatic enough to recognize that every country, every geography, every society is challenged across genders. What can we be assured of is that you have a government who's willing to dedicate every minute of that 24 hours to providing solutions, willing to partner with people.
Thank you, Smriti ji. So my next question is...
You see how well you're doing without the...
Yeah, it's always better to have a conversation, yes. So I think moving forward, as we have talked, that women will play a very important role if India has to rise, or they are playing.
Women will play, nahi,
They are
women are
playing.
playing.
They are playing.
Hmm.
And but having said that, there are challenges, and to solve some of challenges, we learned about some excellent story, and that was the mission of this platform.
Yes.
And today, amongst us, we have WEP, who has brought out some excellent stories of what different women are doing across different parts of India through different projects, which are very diverse in nature. And it's important to hear them. Like when we were hearing them, they talked about financial inclusion, support, stereotyping. There were many issues which were being discussed before you came in. But in your experience, like I think Smriti ji, you have seen it all, like from being on television as a star to being recognized by World Economic Forum for your achievements, to being the youngest women to be appointed in Rajya Sabha, and now a very powerful voice of women, a very powerful minister. So, what is your advice to the participants over here?
Women
How
don't
should
need
they?
advice. They know exactly what they're doing. I think that's another problem. जब भी औरतों का जमावड़ा होता है, किसी को माइक दिया जाता है, कहता है इन औरतों को एडवाइस करो. अरे एडवाइस देनी होती तो यहाँ बैठे होते. और ये कभी कोई मर्द मर्दों के लिए नहीं करता. I'll give you a small example. One of your jury members, Aki, when did you leave Facebook? So between January 21 and this is February 23, she has done a capital of 100 crores in a fund alone. She used to work for somebody. Now she's working for herself. That too in COVID. That's one woman. So I think that men need advice right now. And I tell you why. And I'm saying this from personal experience because I've seen this happen to many of female colleagues and professionals across. I've had the good privilege of working in media and politics, and in two different fields to have success is nothing short of a blessing completely from God. While I say this in jest that men need advice, there's genuinely a need to have a conversation around the fact what happens when the power shifts in a family system or in a relationship, even if it's not a family. How many men are comfortable if suddenly the female partner ends up making more money? How many men are comfortable if their entire demeanor is defined by how popular the partner is in her professional field? This is a serious issue. Because if we do not correct this, it impacts the kids in the relationship who are watching that balance of power. The other issue, and why I said that men need a little bit of advice, and even women do on this one issue that I'm about to say, is when you negotiate contracts. I think we tend to have that little fear which just comes out कि अगर मैंने थोड़ा कम नहीं बोला तो मेरे हाथ से चला जाएगा. You see, I have said this yesterday also, and I said it just was a happenstance. But the problem is that when a woman is in her 20s, she's told she's inexperienced. When a woman is in her 30s, she's told, अरे अभी तो बच्चा हुआ है या तो अभी बच्चा होने वाला है. When she's in her 40s, she's told कि अरे वो 20 वाले को तो कुछ सिखाओ, उसको experience चाहिए. When she's in her 50s, she's told कि अरे वो 30 वाले को थोड़ा mentor करो ना, तुमको तो मिल गया जितना मिलना था. When she's in her 60s, she's dead. Professionally. So, this does not happen to men. The second part, apart from negotiation and this age bracket challenge we have, the third part, in fact, is when women deliver on a project. If you are accommodating, everybody here who is present, I'm sure, has had one experience or the other, you will be ramrodded. If you're tough, you are unpopular. if you're accommodating your colleagues, then मेरा भी थोड़ा काम कर दो ना. They would never say to a man. So I think that when we are looking at how conversations now need to happen around men, we need to do this is the balance of power adjusted in relationships, be it personal or professional. If we manage to fine tune that, we will see a partnership between our genders, which will be fruitful for families and corporations at large. Most of the problems happen when there's a systemic breakdown of understanding and conversation. So I think one of the greatest advices I would give to a company would be to check what happens when you deal with women employees in your organization at different age brackets. For instance, which lady would you appoint to your board? The one who's amiable or the one who's sharp? Which lady would you position at the head of a department? HR or where the money is? Which strata of your company is overwhelmed with women? The clerical admin staff? Or the staff or the team that decides the future of the company? And that will tell you actually where do you stand as a man in a corporation. At home or in a relationship, what happens when you walk into a party and nobody shakes your hand but says, "Arey, kaise aap?" to the lady in your life? How many such parties will you withstand before you blow up at home? How many times will you go to a family gathering where somebody says, "Acha, बीवी ज़्यादा कमाती है क्या?" How many such get-togethers will you go to where you're told, "अरे, शादी नहीं की अभी तक?" So I think those are the people who need the advice, not these women here. Agree?
Agreed. But see, I think
After all, it's her zindagi, so let her
हाँ,
speak.
आपने हर जिंदगी के सारे पहलू खोल दिए. पर आई थिंक आपने एक चीज जो बहुत ही अच्छी बोली है कि ऑलवेज इन सेंचुरीज एंड नाउ एंड मे बी एवर द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग इज टू रिस्पेक्ट दैट बैलेंस बिटवीन men women. It is for a country, it is not about कि
I,
women
Bharat,
को drive
again,
करना
I
है
will
या
not.
men को
No,
करना
no,
है.
I will.
It is about मिल के हमें क्या करना है.
नहीं,
For me,
मैं एक और ख्याल रखती हूँ. I have मेरी पैदाइश हुई है लेडी हार्डिंग हॉस्पिटल में. जो लोग दिल्ली से उनको पता होगा. मेरे माता पिता के पास 150 रुपए थे जब मेरी पैदाइश हुई. उनको मुनीरका में उनके दोस्त ने तबेले के ऊपर एक रूम दिया था. टोकस नाम का कोई दोस्त था पिताजी का. तो मैं वहाँ मुनीरका के उस तबेले से आज कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर की लाइफ मैंने जी है. तो मैं जो कहने वाली हूँ वो इस पोजीशन से नहीं कह रही हूँ क्योंकि मैं कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर हूँ. मैं वहाँ से कह रही हूँ जहाँ से मैं आई हूँ. मेरी माँ ने ताज मानसिंह में हाउसकीपर का काम किया है. और क्योंकि हम 3 बहनें थे, सुबह वो नाइट ड्यूटी करके आती थी. खाना बनाने का समय नहीं होता था. तो आप में से कितने लोग मचान गए हैं, क्लब सैंडविच खाया है? मुझे लेफ्ट ओवर में वो मिलता था स्कूल के लिए, शेफ देता था. मैं वहाँ से आई हूँ. और वहाँ से आने के बाद मैं हर औरत से कहती हूँ, मैंने आज तक किसी मर्द से ये नहीं कहा आई डिजर्व दिस रिस्पेक्ट. आई हैव केयर्ड लेस. तुम रिस्पेक्ट करो नहीं करो, मुझे कहाँ पहुँचना है वो निर्धारित करो, मैं पहुँच जाऊंगी. लाइफ इज टू शॉर्ट. इफ योर लाइफ रिवॉल्व्स अराउंड व्हाट अदर पीपल थिंक अबाउट यू, I have one life. I will live it on my terms. I will sometimes mess it up, but it's my responsibility. But when I win, it is my victory alone. औरतों को हमेशा कहा जाता है घमंड मत करना, तुम जीते मतलब हाँ आई वांट टू थैंक पापा जी, मम्मी जी, सास जी. No. How many of you have seen Snoop Dogg? You have? Go and on Instagram see one reel of his where he says, I want to thank me. And I think that's what we need to teach, because women are quintessentially polite. They are quintessentially warm. They give space to many things and many people in their heart. But we have to now inculcate this way of life that it is okay to begin with me. I define me. My relationships, people in my life do not define you. The minute you can't start saying that, I started saying that when I was 17. I got whacked for it. I said, koi baat nahi. So I think men or women, if you can do that and have that great sense of self-respect, you tend to respect everybody else around you.
Yes,
So it's not a
absolutely.
female thing, it's a human being thing. Do that for yourself first, and you'll have respect for everybody you talk to.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Smriti ji. I think the conversation and as a personality, you're fierce, transparent, and very, very inspiring. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
spending time with us. Over to the audience, if you have one question which you would like to put for Smriti ji.
Are don't fix the match, you are Prime Minister's Bal Puruskar Vijeta. Now, my belief is, ladies, if we can have just one or two questions because the award winners are waiting. Yes. That is maybe Mantralaya ka bacha hai, that bacha doesn't get to ask questions.
Hi, ma'am. So it was an inspiring session and a revealing one because you talked about the goals, you talked about where we are, where we should be walking, and what is our path. We have to decide ourselves. And I think that is very empowering, that is very enlightening, and also a kind of awareness that is to be needed to be done in between the women, because we usually walk the path that has been decided by somebody else, and we do not want to go that
Because
path.
you're the only one that will bear the brunt for it.
Right. So I think whatever you have spoken is very much in reflection to what we have led our lives also, because it's not about who decides for ourselves. It is about we deciding where we want to go, and it's not about the gender. It's also about your focus, your vision, your courage, and your perseverance. So your journey has been inspiring. When I come here and hear about the journey, this is the first time I'm hearing you. But the story that I've heard right from where you came and where you have reached in is really inspirational. I just want to know, what is your goal for the next 5 years? Not about the cabinet minister.
I have nothing. And I'll tell you why. Your name, ma'am?
Soumya Vilekar.
Soumya, I have no ambition left, which is spiritually the best place to be in. I have no desires left. I have lived a very full life. It almost sounds like I'm about to cop it tomorrow, but no. One, I have no desire. Two, I have no such ambition. I'm happy. I have a man I absolutely adore. I love him. I have kids who are smart, who are hardworking, who are honest. I couldn't have asked for more because I have two successful careers. I've created history in two fields. So I have no chahiye.
Where would you like yourself to see after 10 years?
No desire.
It's not about desire.
No, not even see.
It's your journey.
I know my journey has unfolded because of only one reason. When I left Delhi when I was 17 years old, I told my father just two things, because I'm the first girl to work in his family. In fact, when I was a baby, one of my, in my paternal family, somebody told my mother, I was just 2-3 months, something like that. नवंबर की ठंड में मुझे कपड़े से अनरैप करके सीमेंट के फर्श पे छोड़ दिया गया था. मेरी माँ से कहा गया था, शिबानी मर जाएगी रोते रोते, सुबह डेड डिक्लेयर करा देना, ठंड से मर गई. I didn't die then. So if you ask me what I need 10 years from now, I'm alive. That's a big blessing. I work with one of the most historical prime minister's office this country has ever seen. And I beat the sitting president of the Indian National Congress in the history of the country. That's never happened. So I have zero desire, which I think is the best place to be. Because every life that I meet, every event that I'm a part of, not just this event, every person, I've had a chat with Bharat Gupta who was prepared. Let's give you a small example. He was ready with this. He's leading an organization. that I could give him comfort enough to leave this and chat. Do you know what a great gift that is? So for me, every other day that I have is a huge blessing. There's भगवान के पास सारे लोग मांगते रहते हैं. मुझसे कहा जाता है कुछ तो मांगो. मैंने कहा कोई तो हो जो बोले थैंक यू. हो गया.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Very inspiring as always. I'm Sakshi Talwar. Ma'am, you talked about, even if you achieve success in any field or whatsoever, you should take credibility, for your own success. But now, I mean, no matter what industry you see or what sphere that you actually think about, a lot of people, including men and women, there are a lot of times they take credibility.
Somebody else's work.
Sorry?
They take credit
For other people's success.
Yes, it happened to me.
Yes. So I just want to know your, 2 cents on that, and how does one deal with that, considering it happens.
I think that is a skill set that people need to get. It's happened to me.
Right.
So I completely agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I think that the smart thing, why do I look at Ankhi all the time? Because that is a one skill set I want to learn from her, which is what? Is to never deny people their credit.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that ultimately such individuals stand exposed because excellence genuinely doesn't, you can't hide it for long.
Right.
So it is, yes, one of your greatest tests. I have had people run with my stuff and I'm like, oh, and then not succeed or half succeed and come back to me and say, kaise karna tha? I'm like, so I think that apart, when we talk about counseling and skilling, that's the one skill we need to learn. How to be smart about our engagements. How to, without arrogantly professing it, let our superiors know. Because ultimately they will know. Many a times they may miss it. It is incumbent upon us, and I think that's where technology works. That you have many platforms where you can exhibit your talent. But this actually is the untold truth of professional life. So a gift that you can give to the generation ahead, one is to be a boss that does not deny credit. It happens in the guise of teamwork. The second is to teach somebody how to be smart enough to get that attention to their work, no matter how small that contribution is. Because you can carry a lame duck only so far. But if you have survived that, then you'll be the biggest success in your vertical. That also I have discovered. Because let me just take you back to when I said women should learn how to negotiate, right? So one of my good negotiation tips, if you may so call it, but experience. So when I started Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi, I used to get 1800 rupees. That was my contract. The guy who played Mihir used to get 10 times more. But when I came in, I had no job. So I was like, 1800 rupees lao bhaiya, abhi paise nahi hai. Because just before that, my job was, I worked in the first McDonald's that opened in India. And I used to do jhadu pocha there. They used to pay me $1,500. So for me, that $300 meant a lot. But that 1 year of kyunki, I sat down again at the negotiating table. And I said, I wanted X money. He said, how dare you? I said, well, I proved myself. And I said, Mihir badal sakta hai, Tulsi nahi.
Indeed, a pleasure listening to you, ma'am. You've been such an inspiration for every woman, I would believe. Myself is Advocate Juhi Arora. I'm practicing in Supreme Court. I would like to hear some suggestions and challenges in the coming year in the legal, women in legal especially.
Why women alone?
Women in legal, ma'am.
Yeah. But why women alone? I think that is another disservice we do to ourselves. That when you subscribe a challenge, don't only say that it is your challenge. Because then people will presume that only you should provide the solution. So challenge is for a particular class of people, I'm not saying gender, let's say an economic class of people, or an academic class of people, or a geographical class of people. Because I think as a woman, that is what I would like to bring to the table. That I have, in terms of efficacy, these tenets, or for that matter, these attributes. If you want to keep me at a job, what is it? We have to be bereft of emotion when we look at our progression as a professional. So instead of asking for a solution for a class of people, would you like to individualize it and say, what can I do better? But if you want to do something for your gender and include children in it, what can you do better for that? I can give you a suggestion. The government has opened close to 1,063 fast-track courts across the country, of which 400 fast-track courts deal only with POCSO cases. The rest deal with cases with regards to women who are raped or women who are victims of violence. If as a legal community you can come together and expedite the victim's disposition in court, कितने विक्टिम्स ऐसे आते हैं, सरकार ने कोर्ट बना दिया, सरकार ने अधिकृत पैसा और व्यवस्था दे दी, लेकिन वो उस लीगल मैकेनिज्म पे निर्भर करता है कि अगर विक्टिम कोर्ट में आया तो क्या आप उस दिन उसका डेपोजिशन ले रहे हैं? करेक्ट. या हम कह रहे हैं अरे वापस जाओ, 3 दिन बाद आओ. Can you imagine the trauma for that victim just to come to court that day? If you can just help us fix that, I think that's a great tribute on behalf of your fraternity to the community at large. The second issue, and I'm saying this because I've had the privilege of working with the Chief Justice, and there are many who have served that I've had the privilege of calling family. The second aspect that you can do, we know that during stages of investigation, and I'm talking about child victims now, many children are told, अरे जाके बोल देना अंकल को कि रेप नहीं है, consensual है. The government provides for a victim compensation fund. If you hear of such cases, can you alert the system that इस तंत्र ने इस बच्चे को कहा कि बोल दो जाके तुम्हारे साथ रेप नहीं हुआ, consensual था. If you've seen me in Parliament and you've seen me in the presence of the Chief Justice of India, I have refused to bring down the age of consent. Have we seen 16-year-olds get raped and told, bol do consent hai? So on these two issues, if you can help us, and I'm talking about your fraternity, I think it's a great, great honor you will do to your country, men, women and children.
Definitely, ma'am. We'll look forward. Thank you so much.